What's up, guys? I'm Zach Joachim here with my great pal Michael Phillips at the Siegel Center. After VCU took down George Mason 70-54 to overtake first place in the Atlantic 10, it was an electric atmosphere here today. It was sold out for a few weeks. This was homecoming. It was a long-awaited matchup of two teams who've been fantastic in conference play this year, and VCU used a 15-0 run early in that second half after Mason was up 29-27. Choppy first half, right? It very much favored Mason stylistically. I remember, I think we talked briefly at halftime, and we were saying this is Mason's game. This is exactly what they needed it to be.
But they were only up one.
They were only up one.
Yeah.
And it felt like VCU was very much in striking distance, obviously, and just needed to see a couple go in from outside to get things flowing offensively. What did you see early in that second half that enabled them to turn this game?
Were you homecoming king in your time here? Were you ever?
I was not.
Were you ever in the running?
No, and you know what? I'm a little indignant about that in hindsight.
As you should be.
Do you think I should have been?
You're a VCU legend.
I appreciate that. Wow.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. That means a great deal.
Yes. 15-0 run. Mason started turning the ball over like it was nobody's. VCU was pressing. They were making those turnovers happen. But yeah, they started hitting the shots. Once they started hitting the shots, that was lights out.
And Jack Clark, again, a couple of catch and shoot threes over on that left wing there. I think the percentage in his last 11 games now, it's like 57% or something like that. He's shooting from outside. It was 53.1 in the last 10 headed into this game. So that's me guesstimating on the math there. But he's been shooting it well from outside. He had 12 points, 9 rebounds. Once again, I think that's an underappreciated aspect of his game. I love watching Jack Clark box out. He's great at body positioning down there.
That was the Ryan Odom pep talk to him, right? Get to conference play. He's not shooting well. He's not shooting well. It's weird because you have a freshman who's not shooting well for 10 consecutive games. They get benched, but you know he's good at it because you have video of him doing it at Cameron at the Dean Dome.
And the form looks good.
The form looks good, so you're going to stick with him. And Ryan Odom calls him in, gives him the pep talk, and says, "Look, you do a lot of things that aren't shooting that are helping this team win. Just do those things. Just focus on that, and then everything else has flowed from that."
He's focused on that, and the outside shooting has gotten hot. It's crazy how when you focus on the little things and those contributions you can make and stop thinking so much about the shooting. And the shot selection, too, has been better for him, right? So Clark was big today. Max Shulga, 22 points.
He's
5
good.
rebounds. He's pretty good.
I know you want me on for my insights. Did he win A-10 Player of the Year today?
I think so. I think he's certainly the front runner for it. Reed Bailey's been great at Davidson.
There's 4 games left. We don't take anything for granted. But if they handle their business against Davidson, I think all possible arguments have been removed here.
I think it has to be. And the A-10, it seems to me, in recent years has made it's the expectation that you kind of give it to the best player on the best team, right? And he's very much been that this year. Bailey has had a great year. Some other guys in the conference, who's Sebastian Thomas at Rhode Island. I've loved watching him play.
Bailey comes in here and wins, let's have a discussion. But if they don't, there's a 1 seed in the tournament. There's a 1 seed on that team. It's Max.
And Max Shulga has continued to impact wins for VCU outside of the scoring department, right? He's done that all year. Had a really vital steal in that second half and drew the clear path foul on Darius Maddox that was part of that knockout blow there for VCU, and got a couple free throws and the ball. Shulga 8 of 8 at the line today. Only attempted 9 field goals. I'd still like to see him get more shots up than that, right? 5 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Game high, 19 over, plus minus. Did a little bit of everything today. And let's talk about some Phillip Russell, because we both love us some Phillip Russell, man. I love that guy. 11 points, 2 assists. And it doesn't show up that he on the stat sheet here that he drew 2 offensive fouls, but they were huge in that first half.
He got elbowed in the face by Katie Johnson.
Oh.
So take me through this. The ref, he's like, whoa, something happened here. I got to go watch this on TV. So he goes over there. They have DVR. It's great. He rewinds. He watches that. The ref's like, I think that was a foul. Just a foul?
We thought it was going to be a flagrant, right? Because we were looking at the replay right here, and we were like, oh, it's got to be a flagrant.
Dude got elbowed in the face.
Was that the one from Haynes, too? Or was that one of them was on Johnson, one of them was on Haynes? And Haynes, who is,
Am I mixing my guys up?
Maybe, but 6'8", 250? I don't know. He took one from Haynes that I don't know how Phil got back up from. Oh, and
He's a scrappy kid.
He is a scrappy dude, man. And he praised the atmosphere here. He said a few times this season that's, a big part of the reason he wanted to come to VCU, and he's been blown away by the home support. VCU 14-0 now at the Siegel Center this season. Have won every game by at least 12 points. They've been dominant here. We were at the line heading into this game, got up to VCU minus 11.
Yeah.
And with how good Mason has been, I think a lot of people were surprised by that. But my goodness, VCU keeps getting these big lines here, and they keep covering, especially in the second half. There have been a few games this year, right, where they've struggled in the first half.
They've been so good.
And then just find another level in the second half of the Siegel Center.
That's coaching, right? These guys come out of the locker room with a plan, ready to go. And you could tell the pace was their pace. Even Mason scored the first couple. We went after, like, no points forever. We went, like, doom, 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 doom. You know, that was actually the sound effect they made as they ran up and down. And then as VCU started winning, you know, it started pulling away. You know, you saw they were able to fully impose their pace on it. But I was surprised how comfortable Mason was playing at that pace early in the second. I was like, this isn't going to end well for y'all.
No.
They're big guys shooting threes. You know, if I'm calling timeout, reminding him where he needs to stand, and it's not there.
And Haynes was so good in that first half. I loved watching his footwork in the post today. He's really light on his feet. Makes me think of DJ Burns a little bit, that type of big man. But VCU limited him really well in the second half. Christian Furman was a huge part of that. I think he deserves a shout here. 3 blocks, 6 points, had a couple dunks late that brought the roof off this place that kind of culminated in VCU's second half resurgence. And Luke Bamboya picked up some fouls early. So Firm had to step up for this team. His rim protection was vital. 2
fouls before the first TV timeout. You had to take him out. You know, freshman, you got to take him out. But he came back in for a couple minutes there in the first half, got his feet under him, and then started stuffing dudes as he does. He's if he stays, it's college sports.
It is.
If he stays, he'll be a fan favorite.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the fan favorite trajectory right now. I would love to see that. I would
those have the chance to go on the blocks.
I would love to see that happen, where he spends 3 years here and just keeps stuffing dudes like that.
Yeah.
That would be a ton of fun.
He's kind of overtaken after Toby Lawal left. I think the eye-popping athleticism, those plays that get this place on its feet and are probably worth more than the 2 points or the block that they show up on the stat sheet a lot of the time in terms of momentum. He's taken that role that Toby had last year. And there was one sequence we should talk about where Haynes tried to bring the ball all the way up the floor at 6'8", 250. I think Bamboye was guarding him really close, and he got pissed off and tried to take him and went all the way to the cup, and Bamboye swatted it, and that led to a run out. That was part of that run.
That wasn't a good idea.
No, it wasn't.
No, that was not a good idea. Can I workshop my Max Shulga take with you?
Oh, go for it.
Okay, Max Shulga is the best player in America that's not one of the 3 most popular players on his own team.
He's popular.
Sure, but if we go walk down Broad Street right now, who's your favorite Ram? Everybody's going to say Joe, right?
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
All right, name another Ram, and they're going to say Phil, right?
And then maybe Brandon Jennings and Fats Billups are in that conversation too, as the hometown kids, even though Fats hadn't done a whole lot this year.
I think Luke's climbing that ladder with the blocks and the stuffs,
For
right?
sure. Nationally elite. He's still leads the country, I believe, in blocks per minute. Bamboye does. Had 7 the other night.
That's what, Max is somehow the best player in the entire Atlantic 10 without being face on a billboard guy.
Because he's soft spoken.
Yeah.
Right. He's not a big personality, but I think that on a VCU team that has some big personalities, it's key for them to have that more mellow guy as their best player. He calms them down in key moments sometimes.
If they play in the Sweet 16 this year, his jersey's going to be up there. That's where it'll be. Do
you think they're capable of that?
Sure. If you get in, you punch your ticket. If they shoot like they did in the first half, no, they'll be done, one and done. If they shoot like they did in the second half, they could be a Sweet 16 team. Yeah, what do you get? An 11-12 seed. You get 2 teams you can beat in that draw. 15
of 29 from the floor in the second half. That's 51.7%. 7 of 17 from 3-point range in the second half. That's 41.2%. I don't need to go through the numbers in the first half. They really struggled to shoot the ball in the first half.
I've repressed the first half. It's
gone from our memory.
Gone.
I think for most VCU fans, it's probably gone from their memories right now.
Also,
credit to Mason. Great defensive team.
Yeah, I also want to repress from about 7 minutes to go in the game until 2 minutes left in the game, where the rest were just what if we called fouls on every single possession? Would everybody enjoy that? Would everybody here have a good time with that? And hang on a second, someone's trying to get dinner tonight. Let's go. What are we doing?
2 moments to touch on that were both in the second half. One was right prior to the second half. One of the officials, when the ball was sitting right in front of my computer here, he came over to grab it right before the second half started, and he leaned over to me and he said, we're going to need them to make some shots here in the second half, because it was a really ugly game offensively in the first half, and they absolutely got that. And then you guys were making fun of me. There was a loose ball, and we posted this picture on Twitter, because I'm going to save that, and that's going in my journalism archives for the rest of my career, because that was awesome. But there was a loose ball, and I thought it was right here in front of the media table, and it was going to take a big bounce. I thought it was coming right into my lap.
It was your moment.
It was my moment, man. I was ready. I was on my feet. I was about to grab the ball. And then Jack started coming over, and I thought he might take a dive for it, trying to save it. And so and then it bounced short, and I immediately backed off. and threw my hands up. And there's a screenshot from the broadcast with the ball right there where you can just see me standing with my hands up. Like, I didn't touch it. So I got some grief for that from my dear media friends, which I deserved.
But you'll be homecoming king for that next year. I feel good about that. The readiness. It was a full readiness right there. We could have put you in it. And then Joe,
was my moment, man.
Joe over there jumped into the stands.
Oh, he did. That was great. He got some air on that. Showed off the athleticism. I'm glad he came up because for a second you couldn't see him on the other end of the scorer's table, and I think people were a little worried.
I think that was a really fun jump, and I think that was a stupid thing.
It was, yeah. And that reminds me, Joe, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. I think he had a good game, 3 of 11 from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3. He really didn't get going offensively, and that's been a recurring theme with this team, right? Yeah. Jackson, Shulga, Bamisiel, Russell can have an off night individually because you usually don't get multiple of those guys having an off night. And Joe wasn't great offensively today, and it didn't matter because VCU still won by 16 points against a really strong Mason opponent in Mason. Zach Jackson, I was writing my story, and he deserves a shout too because only 5 points, but 6 assists, 2 steals, 5 rebounds. He affected this game defensively in the rebounding battle, made a bunch of hustle plays. He was big tonight for this team.
Left him off of my popular guys. People like Zeb.
People love Zeb because Zeb and Joe are 2 of the kindest, most genuine human beings I've ever covered. And they're really easy guys to like. Man, I think we've covered most all of it. Anything else come to mind for you? VCU controls its own destiny, I think, right now. Lenardi's latest projection had them as one of the last 4 in, right? Or maybe the last team in. They were in that last group, and winning this game was imperative. Now you win out your last 4. I think heading to the A-10 tournament, they're on the right side of the NCAA tournament.
You ready
bubble.
for a full wacky? He's got Mason now his first 4 out.
Yep.
I did not see that coming.
Me either. After
giving no love to VCU all season long, this game happens and Mason's like, yeah, Mason, they're good.
Yeah.
Which was kind of wacky to me. Like, not that they're not deserving. It's the A-10 is traditionally a multi-bid league, but after all the VCU slander, to pop Mason in that spot just immediately was wild.
My dear friend Tyler Cronin from the 3-Bid League pod, I need this league to get 3 bids in order to fulfill the namesake of his podcast. He does awesome coverage of the A-10.
They're not getting 3.
No, they're not. But they very well might get 2 at this point. And that comes to mind, like Tyler was here, David Korn, who's awesome as well from A-10 Talk, was here. David Teal was sitting here right by us. For me to sit by you and Teal, 2 people who I've cherished as mentors over the years, and Adam Epstein, who's a very good friend. This was awesome.
You're gonna make me cry.
This game meant a lot to the VCU community, and it was awesome to have everyone in the house today.
Great game. What I love is that the coaches all defer to Teal. Brian,
yes,
me too. I think like this happened in 1980, but David, you're here.
David,
why don't you weigh in on that? Yes. Great game, great atmosphere. 2 tough ones coming this week because look, you go to UR, anything can happen. You gotta stay right side. It's a bad team over there, but you got to. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. I'll say it. I have a radio show. I can do that.
And I'm the VCU alum here, so thank you for saying that. I'm an objective journalist.
It's a bad basketball team, which is what scares me the most about that game.
Yeah.
And then here against Davidson, who always gives these guys a good game, and as you mentioned, has one of the league's best players. So fun week ahead.
It certainly is. Anything else stand out? I want to give a shout to the Philip Russell between the legs bounce pass to Zeb Jackson too for that 3. I think it was between the legs. He did a little
behind the back and between the
behind the back dribble and then went between the legs. That was awesome.
Yep.
Phil put his arm around Max in the post-game press conference. That was a cute moment when Max was talking about Phil's intensity and how that helped flip the momentum.
You're
gonna
kick yourself in the morning if you don't mention the push-ups. So go ahead and mention.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. So Shulga took a hard screen from Haynes, who, as we've mentioned, is a massive human being, right at mid-court, and Shulga went down hard late in this game. Offensive foul on Haynes. And then Max is on the floor, and Phil runs over to him and looks sideways at him, dives on the floor, and starts doing push-ups. So that video is up. That was fantastic. That kind of encapsulated the celebratory atmosphere that this game was down the stretch. The Siegel Center was awesome. That was a fun moment. This team's been a lot of fun, and they're in a really good place as the A-10 tournament and March nears.
Well put.
Rams 70, George Mason 54. VCU now holds the top spot in the A-10 and has the inside track to the conference's number 1 seed. And looks like they're on the right side of the NCAA tournament bubble as it stands. MP, thank you so much for joining me. You're the best.
ZJ, good times.
This is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim. You guys rock. Thank you for following along the coverage. We'll see you Tuesday at UR.